Hello guys, Omni here. I went and saw Maleficent 2, Mistress of Evil. Now, if anybody's been on the channel before, you heard me talk about or react to the trailers for this film, you probably know that I wasn't a big fan of the first Maleficent film. Maleficent is probably one of my favorite Disney villains, and the approach to making her a sympathetic anti-hero and kind of turning and twisting the story on it, making it seem like that by through word of mouth or over the ages, the story had been twisted to where she was made into the villain when she wasn't. I don't know. Something about the first movie just kind of felt a little like off about the way they handle it, and the way that their relationship built. I did kind of enjoy that, but the movie, the just overall, I think had some problems. That aside, I went into this movie anyway to check it out. We had this and Zombieland that came out this week, and I decided to go in and check this out anyway. Didn't have really high expectations. I thought the trailers looked interesting, but I still was never really sold on the concept. I liked what they were trying to do, but in the end, it didn't give me the movie that I wanted. I wanted a full blown Maleficent is evil, and she's just the mistress of evil, and I mean, originally in the original animation, of course, she gets her powers from hell. So that's like she was pretty awesome to like do all of this over not being invited to a birthday party in kind of a weird kind of way. Plus, I'm a huge I was about to say Harry Potter, Kingdom Hearts fan, and she's just one of the core Disney villains in that franchise. And I've always thought she was just awesome in general in that as well. So I don't know. I think I had a couple of expectations leading into that movie that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way with what they did with it. However, Angelina Jolie, I always thought was great and a perfect casting throughout the whole thing. She was easily the best part of that film. So that aside, I go into this film and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. This was a kind of a darker film in the way they handled the approach to it. They do kind of double down and elaborate more on how the original tale is more of a twisted version of the true events of what happened in the past here. But the way they handle this movie, it is very much so building out on Aurora and Maleficent's relationship, how they've got their own kind of family unit. There's a lot of themes of family and legacy and like origin that I think this movie really plays into, owning up to what you owe to your people, where you come from, learning about your origins, as well as exploring these non-conventional family dynamics, especially between Aurora and Maleficent, because since they're not biologically related, she's her goddaughter, and they still have this kind of relationship that they really explore a lot more in this. I don't know, I can't remember his name, the crow in both films. I thought he stood out really well in this one as well. He got some laughs out of me. He was also a very strong and compelling character. Then the story itself, on top of kind of elaborating more on Maleficent and Aurora's new relationship, it does explore that further, as well as growing out her relationship with Prince Philip. And then the inter kind of play between the kingdoms and how the other people outside of the land in which Aurora now rules kind of have this twisted perception of what happened to the original kingdom with King Stefan. And I like all that little interplay. And then it also goes further into exploring Maleficent's origins, which they retooled, I think. I don't even know if you would call it retooled, because even the original animation story, I don't think goes too deep into what she is really, other than a witch. But this that does expand on, and at least in the first one, they established that she's a dark fae, and they definitely go along dark farther into the origins of that, and we see images of it in the trailer where she finds more of her own kind. And there is a little bit of an allegory, and there was a little bit of it in the first one as well, but this one is even more an allegory of like racism and segregation and just kind of like not accepting what you don't understand or what's different from you. And there's a whole little layer that they go into that with this, and I think that it handles it fairly well. The movie is really weirdly paced at times. It shifts focus at one point in the movie away from our main characters, or at least the main title character for a while until it starts to feel like a separate movie, but it never really loses complete focus of what the arc is throughout, if that makes any sense. Um, Overall, I ended up liking what they did with this. I liked all the performances in it. You had Chiwetel Ejiofor in this as one of the other Dark Fae, and he was great, though not as prominent of a role as you kind of the trailers would have made you think. Um, but the show in this film is completely stolen. Of course, again, every time she's on screen, Angelina Jolie just commands the entire frame, just the strength of her performance and in this character, she just like owns every moment. And then you have so I watched somebody else's thoughts on this movie and they put it in some really great terms because Michelle Pfeiffer in this is also just as equally a commanding force in this film. And when they're both on screen, it is and it is like they are just like catting off against each other, seeing if they could outbe one another. And it's so funny and interesting and just hilarious all at the same time while they you feel like the threats and the level of threat that they both kind of propose in their own kind of situation. And I just thought it was really funny. Michelle Pfeiffer and Angelina Jolie kind of low key like out trying to I'm trying not to like go into it too far. Out catfight each other like with their sassy little comebacks and lowbrow passive attacks at one another is a treat for the little bit of time that that plays out. Overall, I think the special effects in this film was actually a lot better than the first one. Overall, I think this movie was better in general than the first film. Um, Whether or not I liked the twist that they went in with the last one into this movie, I went into it already knowing that's what we're getting into. Even though the movie did try to sell it in the trailers that Maleficent is kind of going down this dark, evil path, even though we know that's not the case. The trailer didn't, I don't think the trailer really does a good job of hiding the fact that, you know, it's just a misunderstanding. And it really dives into that a little bit far. And think that knowing how the first film kind of played out, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that this movie really doesn't shy away from that in any kind of way. They really commit to it. And going into it, knowing that already about where they're going with the storyline, I was able to enjoy this one a lot more than the first one, I think. I've only seen the first one the one time I saw it in theaters, and honestly, it upset me. Just the I just didn't like it at all the first time. I don't know if it's really because I had those expectations of Maleficent being this evil mistress that she is in the origins of it, and I don't know, the way they handled it, maybe I just need to go back and rewatch it now that I know what I'm getting into. But the fact that I went into this already knowing what to expect, I think it helped me enjoy this film a lot more. I think the cast and the performances were overall a lot better. Also, the three fairies were not a huge part of this movie, and they were a huge part of the first film. And the animation, the CGI on them, as well as the way their voices are pitched, just made them so unbearable to listen to. And they were such a huge part of the first film. And they were used very sparingly in this one. There's a lot of elements that I think came together to make this one a more tolerable watch. And I ended up enjoying it. And when I came out of the theater, I really thought I had a good time with this movie. I like the lore that they built out. I like the way they expanded this world. I like the way that they kind of built off of what they started with in the first one and really kind of pushed it more into a different direction. Not really different direction, but they pushed it into um I think where the movie was wanting to get to in the first one. I don't know. I think you'd have to see it to really kind of. I don't really know how else to explain it. At the end of the day, I had a good time with the movie, and I expected myself to really not. I wasn't really looking forward to this, but since it's been a slow film month, that I just kind of felt like I had to check it out, and I did so today, and I didn't regret it. I liked the film. I'd say I'd give it a B minus as far as a grade, or a 7 out of 10, probably overall. So out of the films that came out this week, I don't know. Play it up based on your own personal judgment, because I think both of these films, between this and Zombieland for this week, for what came out this week, it's really going to come up to your personal preferences. And either way, I don't think you're if you think this is something that you're going to want to watch, you're going to go into it and be happy. Between the two of these, I personally, I would have thought I liked Zombieland more, but at the end of it, after watching both of them, I actually ended up liking this one more. I'll go into my thoughts on Zombieland in the next video that I'm making, actually. But overall, it's up to you, because you know what you're getting into with both of these films. I think it's a fair assumption of what these films are about. So make your judgment call. Let me know what you thought about the film if you did check it out in the comments down below. But that's it for now. I don't think there's anything else I can elaborate on. That is all for this video, guys. If you like this video, make sure to support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comments what you didn't like, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.